Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to a Better Late Than Never episode of the Listen Up Podcast. It's your boy, Brandon.
This is Sam.
Hey, man, and we are back again, man. Listen, y'all have been DMing. We done got some angry messages. Folks been hot. We were told we were hiding because Mike was good. There's a lot happening out there, man. I keep telling y'all, it's just me and Sam. There's no operation. There's no there's no operation, man. It's just me and him. There ain't no production manager, ain't no team. We ain't nobody to call in the event that. I mean, every time you don't see, a guest, one of us ain't here, and the guest is because it's just like luckily happened that way. You know what I mean? Like we made the right call at the right time, and somebody was free.
Yeah.
Um, but listen, we definitely want to get on here and talk about it, man. So yeah, but life things happen, man, and so we had to, we're a few days late, man. But
Yeah.
listen,
No, it's actually funny to me, but I be kind of blown back sometimes. Like, damn, people really care about what I think. That's really wild to me sometimes. When you just sit back and
it'll
think
never,
about it.
it'll never, it'll never make sense to me. Like
Well, I mean, it
I
makes
keep telling you,
sense.
no, I ain't even talking about like make sense. I mean like you got like when you think about when we started it, it was just like me and you was just kind of sitting around like, hey, I mean, we were on Twitter, just kind of have a conversation, and then
Yeah.
you was like, hey, bro, we should do a pod. All right, and I think that first episode was like 3 hours long. We never got it out. Like I don't know what we were talking about, and then you know what I mean. I think the second we just put it out, and then we
Yeah.
had like first 5 listeners. Appreciate y'all, whoever y'all is. You know what I mean? Like y'all should get T-shirts or something. If y'all wanted the first 5. It was just on SoundCloud.
Right.
And then we kind of matured into the audience that we have now, man. That's constantly growing, and we appreciate it, man. But I keep telling y'all, it's just us. You know what I mean? So
No,
I'm gonna
it's
be I'm
been.
gonna be missing. I'm probably gonna miss the Florida game pod. I'm having a son next week, man. I'm gonna miss it next week. If we
Yeah.
win, I don't want nobody to think that I'm not happy that Mike won. That you know what I mean? Like we don't. That I like look at Brandon mad that they finally beat Florida. He ain't got nothing to say. I listen. My son is being born, so any day now, man. I'm just letting y'all know that's gonna take precedent over the pod. So it's gonna take precedent. Period. Like I'm just letting y'all know how that is. Now I appreciate. We'll get my takes out at some point in the offseason. Y'all will hear how I feel. But let me tell you, if we beat Florida, just know I'm gonna be just excited as everybody else. I already got my son the a Florida State onesie and his blanket, so we're gonna be representing for real, for real. But
Yeah, I've been it's been a rough couple 2 weeks for me. I don't like to get into my personal business on and stuff, but I just had granddad went into hospice and stuff, and we just trying to get the house situated for him, and then my son got sick this weekend, so I got to start the thing with him this weekend, and I'm still running this pressure washer business, so I just I'm just flatly worn out, to be honest with you. But you know what? so
hey,
so I don't want people to think that personally I'm happy that they're winning games. Honestly, I think we predicted them to have a pretty good season this year. So I don't know why
I'm
I
pretty
would be mad at
positive.
my prediction.
We were the only ones who said I think they were going to go 5-0 in this back half. Like I think it was a few people who wished for 5. I think we were one of the
Well, I
few that
think we
kind of
was. I
stood
think
on
we
the
was. I
ledge.
think we was pretty positive early on before the season even started. We thought they could win 8 or 9 games. That we thought the
Hmm.
schedule set up pretty good for them. So nothing they're really doing to me currently is all that surprising. To be honest with you, to me.
That's where me and you gonna disagree, right? Because I
Mhm.
expected them to win games, but I
Right.
expected them to win a whole lot of close games, right? I thought they
Okay.
were still trying to figure out how to win. I thought there was a lot of. I think we saw it early on, right? They was figuring out how to win. But I think what has impressed me is you want to be playing your best football at the end of the season. And they
Yeah.
are playing their best football at the end of the season. I mean, it's not that they're just walking into teams and beating them. They're walking into teams that absolutely dominating in every aspect of the game. Your field goal kicking is improved. Your running game is improved. Your running
Hmm.
backs have improved. Your wide
Hmm.
receivers have improved. Your old line is dominating. I mean, just absolutely nasty. You know what I mean? You got pancake blocks. It's one of the best units on the team. You can play zone. You know what I mean? Again, I had given up on the fact that they may actually have the ability to play zone. They can play zone. Um, they got the linebackers are playing, the defensive line. You got young guys flashing. I'm trying to find the area where I'm saying this is where they lacking at. You know what I mean? And that's the part that I think for me, is impressive because I didn't see them being here when the season started, and I
I
definitely didn't see
think
them being here before
I,
the season started.
I think two things are true with FSU right now with this back half of the schedule. One part of it is they are playing better, right? They are
Mm-hmm.
playing better. They're healthier. They look better, right? That's one part of it, right? Another
Mm-hmm.
part of it is they're not have playing the good teams. I mean, Georgia Tech was a walking dead.
Yep.
Syracuse, bunch of injuries, walking dead also.
Mm-hmm.
Miami, injury galore, walking dead also. you
Mm-hmm.
know. But granted, you are putting them away, so that does count for something that you're not playing with your food. So that's a good thing, right? And we'll take the wins any way we get them. But I think two things are true. Catching teams at the right time is important. It does leave a lot of what if, right? If you'd have been healthy early in the season because you have beat Wake Forest, quite frankly, I still don't know how you lost to NC State. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I think that that was a learning experience for the coach and the players. So I think two things are true. I think they are playing good football, and I also do think that they're playing bad football teams at the end too. And I also think the ACC is. When we said this like really early on in the season that it's not a good conference. It's not a good conference. Like Wake Forest has now lost 4 games. Not a good. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, nah, I agree with you on the point of these teams that we thought were going to be better have run into some injury luck, right? But has that not been Florida State? This is like I feel like the last 3, 4, 5, 6 years. It seems
Oh no,
like
we'll
before the
take
season's
it.
out,
No,
yeah,
we'll
you know what I
take
mean.
it.
Before
No, we'll
before
take
the
it.
season's
No,
out, it
we
feels like
no.
our season been done with injuries. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no, we definitely would take it. I'm just saying in general. I think two things are true. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
true.
I think two things are true at the same exact time, and I think that's okay. And I think this team, this coaching staff, needed this type of luck. And we said that
Yeah,
to get back where they need to get at, he needed to have a good season. And have a good season, he needed some good injury luck, right? He needed to catch
definitely.
teams at the right time. And I thought the schedule set up nicely for that. And I think they taking advantage of it. And I think that's the more important point of that they are taking advantage of playing bad teams and beating up on bad teams.
Let me ask you this. Now, this is again, we didn't think we'd be talking about this. You know what I mean? But I'm glad to. Would you rather have one of a good bowl matchup? You know what I mean? Playing Alabama in the Gator Bowl, or would you want give me Arizona State? You know what I mean? In Orlando for basically a guaranteed layup. You know what I
I
mean?
want
Like,
I want a guarantee layup, right?
yeah.
Because you know, it's football is so funny to me because I think I put out FSU looks like a top 10 team, and
Mm-hmm.
Rowe had put out like I don't know about top 10, top 15ish, right? And I wanted to fight back on him on that argument that he was making, but then I kind of looked and I thought about it, like, damn, I think you're right because um,
Let me
I
ask you
think
this
you're
though:
right.
if it, are you even arguing a difference in teams, right? Because if you look at the top 10 versus the top 15, all
Hmm.
of them teams are beatable. I mean, I would say all the way up until Georgia, Ohio State, USC.
Really?
All of them teams can be. You know what I mean? All of them
I
teams.
don't think so. I
Are,
think I think if you play Michigan, I think Michigan will beat you by 2 to 3 scores. I think
see, and I
because
and I don't and I don't look at Michigan. I can't say we won't beat Michigan. And I matter of fact, I don't think there's anybody outside of my opinion, Georgia, USC, um, who I just say? Roll off. I
I'm
think
gonna
Tennessee
go.
is a tough one.
These are the top 10
Um,
teams right here. That I
all
got
right.
up here. They got Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU,
I think we can beat
Tennessee,
Michigan. I think we beat
Tennessee,
TCU.
LSU,
We've
USC,
already beat them.
Alabama, Clemson, Utah.
Alabama, Clemson, Utah.
I think I think you could beat Utah. You probably
I
could
think
beat.
Alabama, Clemson, Utah. I think we can beat and Michigan out of that top 10. I think you can beat. Like, all right, so
I
go
don't
to go
think
to
you.
15.
I don't think you beat Alabama, dude. Because
I'm
we
not
talking about
saying we
because
will beat Alabama. I'm
well
saying I think we have a very good
we
chance.
getting into a conversation of trench play, right? This is what I'm trying. This is my point.
But
We
our
get into
trenches is playing. Now I get you right. Not the same competition as Alabama. You
okay,
right. I
all
know
right.
what you're gonna
So
go. I know it. I know you're gonna say that. I
okay,
know. Not the same trenches as Alabama.
not
But
the
I
same as
don't
Michigan.
uh I
Those trenches are
I
better.
want
Those are
to.
better
If we have
trenches.
an opportunity to play Michigan, I would line up Michigan. I think we beating that ass.
Okay. Okay.
Alabama, I'm not so confident.
I
I
think
think
out of
we
the
are in a
I,
good fight with Alabama.
out of the top 10 teams, I think the only team I will for certain circle and say you will win that game is probably Utah.
We
Currently.
definitely beat Utah. Florida beat Utah.
Currently. Right, currently. I think the way it sits right now, you could beat Utah.
Yeah, I think we beat you. All right, so if you get to the top 15,
Now you go on to Penn State, Oregon, North
we
Carolina,
can beat Penn
Ole
State.
Miss. I don't know about that. Ole Miss, Washington, UCLA, and you stop at 16 with UCLA, which I think if you play UCLA, I don't think you would beat UCLA. I don't think you'd beat Washington. I don't think you'd beat Ole Miss. I don't think you because of the way North Carolina plays stylistically, throwing the football a lot. I don't think he'll beat North Carolina. Oregon, I think you probably could beat Oregon. Penn State, because
What matter of fact, what amateur overload just said in the comments is really is kind of what I'm saying, right? We might not beat Bama, but Ole Miss was able to play with Bama, and I think we could play with, and I think we could play with Ole Miss. I think I think us, Ole Miss, and Bama would all play in a very close game.
You know what? This show is finna turn into a first take, Skip Bayless and what's the name show. So I'm gonna just stop. So I'm gonna just stop.
Why? I don't understand what you saying. What you saying, Skip? I mean, I'm
yeah. See, it's gonna be kind of a first take situation because I think what we're missing is this is a big part of what we're missing.
Marcus said it too. Yeah.
Teams that have had success against Florida State with this defense, out of Fuller's defense, are teams that can throw the ball vertically down the football field.
Mm-hmm.
Right or wrong?
I'm gonna say the old defense. I'm for real. Here's what, and I'm trying. Like, I don't want to be prisoner of the last 3 games because you're right.
But you can only go based off what you've seen. So I get why people are looking at it and saying, "Oh, well, this," because I looked at the team
because I do think they've improved. Right?
Hold on, let me say this. When I put the statement out, this is like a top 10 team if they was healthy. In the moment, I'm watching the Syracuse game, like, these dudes are dominating Syracuse. And then Rowe was like, well, go look at the top 10, go look at the top 15, and count how many teams you think they would beat on a neutral field. I'm like, I looked at it, I was like, okay, damn. Like, oh, damn, this team is better than the trenches. This team got elite wide receivers that could get the ball
LSU
down
better than the trenches?
Who?
LSU, were they better than the trenches?
We said before the LSU game, they started a bunch of true freshmen up front. We said this. On the offensive line, right?
Yes. Yep.
Their best defensive lineman got hurt early in that game. That left them scrambling with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
We won by a blocked field goal, a block extra point.
But it should have been more though.
Can I finish?
Okay, go ahead.
I want to finish. We won by a block extra point, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was with them muffing the football twice and putting us in field position to basically blow them out. So
the game's got to be played.
Right, but my whole point is I just think that when you look at some of these teams and say, well, how good is Florida State compared to the I think the scheduling matters, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think where you play teams matter. But overall, I think because of where the schedule's at, you can win enough games where it looks like you're a top 12, top 10 team, which I'm okay with that.
But see, I think you're arguing where they are versus where you say, all right, if they're top, they are realistically a top 10 team. But you don't think they should be a top 10
I think
team.
they could end up. I think had they handled their business in some of these games like NC State, baby Wake Forest, I still think the way Wake Forest plays it's hard for Florida State to beat Wake Forest because of the way they play. Teams that have 3 and 4 good wide receivers that throw the ball, that can consistently throw the football down the field, they struggle with these teams because of the scheme. Like this is not nothing new. This is
okay.
But you played against teams that cannot stretch the football field.
Now let me ask you this: if we played not LSU, but if you played Clemson, NC State, and Wake Forest again, like we just lined them up over the next 3 weeks before Florida, you don't think Florida State go back and beat All three of them.
I don't
I'm
think
just saying.
so.
I think they're
I
playing a
don't. I
different
don't.
brand of football right now than what they played in the first
I
half.
think
That's what I'm
Lovett. I
saying.
think Lovett makes those games more interesting, but I think overall you still lose those games.
See, and I don't. I think again, Clemson may be the only one that I'm
The
like,
O line. The O line
I don't
hasn't.
know.
The O line hasn't changed. The O
But see,
line's still the O
and that's why
line.
I disagree. The O line is still the O line, but the O line has improved. Why can how come the
They
other
improve because
team,
they playing lesser
LSU,
competition.
but they also are improving?
Because they playing less competition.
See, I think regardless of the competition, the O line is better playing now than they absolutely were playing at the beginning of the season. You want to be playing your best football. I think they are playing their best football. And the teams aren't very good. But I still think if you lined up some of the good teams and put them in front of them, I think based on the way they've been playing, I think they beat them. I think if you were playing NC State next week, instead of the Raging Cajuns, you beat NC State and you beat them handily.
So you think
I think if you go back and play Wake Forest again next week, you beat Wake Forest handily.
Ooh,
Clemson is the only one where I can say, I don't know
about that. I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
I'm just saying. I think the way this team,
that.
I think the way this team is
this
playing,
go.
I think it's reasonable to believe that they can beat any of the top tens minus a few.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
I'm just telling you, that's what I've seen. This is what I've seen. This is what I've seen.
See, this is
I've
stuff.
seen
This is the stuff that we
O-line.
had this conversation, and it make me come off as negative when I'm not being negative. But the point I'm trying to make is that O line is that O line, okay? And I ain't got no problem with it. I don't have no problem with it. I have no problem with it. But I'm just saying in general, you just look at the teams and the matchups and everything and say, like, and I think with a lot of FSU fans, like, how many of y'all have watched Washington? Seriously, because I've watched them 3 times this year.
I've watched them once.
Okay. And Penix is a damn good quarterback.
100%.
If he was in the ACC, he would probably be the second best quarterback after Drake May. Yep. That's how good he is. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's a number 1 overall pick. I'm just saying in that system, he's deadly. So if you play Washington right now, you're going to have to get to 30 points because that's where they're going at. UCLA, physical football team.
How many people watch But you said as if we can't get the 30 points on Washington. Like, Washington might be really legit on offense. And I believe they're really legit on offense. Mm-hmm. I also believe we're really legit on offense. And there ain't a stat out there that says to the contrary. Like, every stat out there says number 1 in explosive plays, number 1 in this, number 1 in number 3 in that, number 10 in O-line, you know what I mean? Like, all the numbers say that we are also a legit offense. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at again, I said it earlier and I thought we went through a lull. I don't know what happened. But I've said it earlier. I don't believe. I don't know that. I do too, but I ain't gonna talk about it. But what I do believe, I think they're rolling at a time now where if you told me they got to put up 30, I believe they put up 31. You told me they had to score 40, I believe they can score 40.
Right. I think what y'all okay. So we can't keep having this. We can't keep going on with this because I got to answer questions because we all at 18 minutes on this. But I think the problem with all of this is saying the football team, FSU current football team, is better. It's a better football team. They look good. Okay? They beat down bad teams. These are bad teams. They're beating them down. That's a good thing. I'm not mad about that. Like, that's great.
You do realize they haven't allowed a touchdown in 2 weeks.
Right. They've done a good job. They're a good football team. But I'm saying when we talk about projecting them forward and saying, well, are they a top 10 team? You know, you just got on here and said you think they could line up with Bama. Like, that's.
I believe they can line up with Bama.
Okay.
I wouldn't. Do I believe? Do I like what I'm saying? Right. Okay. No, I don't. I don't like the fact that I'm saying it because you could go out there and get boat raced by Bama in a bowl game. Mm-hmm. But I also believe you can walk into wherever you play at Bama at in the Gator Bowl, which is a home game for Florida State. You can walk into the Gator Bowl and you can beat Bama.
So you
is
think
it likely? No. Would I pick them to beat Bama? No. Okay. But do I believe? But am I gonna just automatically rule out the possibility of them beating them? No. And that's all I'm saying.
So
if it's 7%,
so they'll try.
It's 7%. I'm
so
arguing that 7%.
They'll try hard. They'll have a good plan. They'll try hard. They will
score first. They'll be in a fight for a little bit. They'll
Okay.
lose by 10.
So
That's
basically, they'll
probably
be
what I
like
think.
they was against Wake Forest, NC State, and Clemson. All the teams that had good trenches.
Again, early, you arguing the three losses. I'm arguing the three wins. All I'm saying
Okay,
is
okay,
during the three
okay.
wins, they have somehow, like Power Rangers, have morphed into a
Mm,
different team.
yeah.
They have now, like, you know what I mean?
We
I
got
can't explain
guys.
it.
We got guys on the offensive line that haven't pancake blocked anybody. That's
But do you
been.
got guys who have?
Hold on, let
And
me
your wide
finish.
receiver
Can I
core
finish?
block.
Can I finish? You
Go
got
ahead, go ahead.
guys on the offensive line that haven't been good at blocking anybody for 2 years. All of a sudden, they're pancake blocking Georgia Tech and pancake blocking Syracuse. Maybe that says something about us. Maybe that says something about Georgia Tech and Syracuse. I don't know. The
They
truth is
morphed, dog.
somewhere. The truth is somewhere in the middle there. And I think
Well,
I think if we all took a step back and looked in the mirror, I think we know the answer to that. I think we know the truth. But it's okay because we can live in this hypothetical and it's fine.
no, the problem is we might not though. We really might play bad when the Gator Bowl is real. Like, yeah, I mean, we might get to the
But
sea of the bowl game. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
we
and then
might.
and it get real
Yeah.
ugly. So again, I don't know that. I promise I have no clue whatsoever. But right now,
But I do think I think it's, these teams these teams in the top 10, other than Utah, I'm taking Utah out of it, but Utah hasn't played the meat of their schedule quite yet. They did beat USC, though. But, I mean, top 15, like I said, we might be a top 15 ish team. I think you could put us over Utah. I think with Oregon, we could play a game with Oregon, I think,
we
personally.
beat Oregon.
I
Oregon don't
think
have no trenches.
Right. I'm just saying, maybe you could be Oregon and maybe Utah. So maybe that puts you about 14, 13 in the country. I think that's about I think that's about right. 13, 14 in the country. It's about where we
Yeah,
at. Yeah.
that's why I
Right.
think we are. That's exactly why I
Yeah.
think we are.
Right. But I do think it's levels when you get like when Rose said that I didn't think about it, but then once I looked at the top 10, I'm like, you kind of got a point because Clemson eased off the clutch. That game was over by the third quarter. They took the accelerator off. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I thought that's what I thought as well. I thought that
I
as well.
mean, so you telling me, and we know Clemson ain't nowhere close to Bama, LSU, Tennessee, TCU, Ohio State. We know that Clemson are not close to those teams. We know that.
Right.
So, yeah, it makes sense. Like, I mean, theoretically.
So let me ask you this: we beating Florida?
I think that game's going to be a good game. I know people, and if they go out and blow Florida out, I have to raise my hand and say, man, that's a hell of a finish. But I do think that's going to be a good game. Because I do think AR is starting to play better. And I think that matters.
I think he's figured out that he's the best player on that team, and so
Well, I also think he's starting to figure out when to run now. And he's
and
not.
I literally the words I was going to say,
Yeah.
and that means I got to take off.
Yeah.
Y'all garbage, and I'm gonna take off. You know what I mean? Like and that was the thing that we had, like. It felt like he had kind of shackled himself, and it felt like Napier shackled him too. You know what I mean? Because they similar to us. They couldn't survive without AR. Same way we couldn't survive without JT.
Right.
So, in my opinion, I think they kind of both. He called scared games and they played scared.
Yeah.
Well, now I think they're like, man, it's the end of the season. I think AR going to the pros, and I think Bowen was like, you know what? All right, let's just go ahead. Let's just go. See what happens. We lose. We win, oh well.
Right. I think that with the luck that we're having, he'll probably miss that game. We'll probably win it going away. Right? That's the type of luck we have. That's the type of luck we have.
He'll get hurt against Vandy.
Yeah, get some type of sprain.
He gonna sprain his ankle against Vandy.
Something. Right. So
I'm with it.
And guess what? I take that too.
Brother, I hope you're all right. Go get your money in the pros. But if you twist an ankle and can't play against Florida State, I promise you, I ain't gonna
I do think he's playing better, man. And when he's playing better, that team is they're a different offense because Trevor Etienne and them running backs are really good. That offensive line is really good. That'll be what? The best offensive line you have played all season, I think. Maybe Clemson was better. I don't know, but that's pretty close. I would take Florida offensive line over Clemson, to be honest with you. But I mean, I wouldn't. The
problem is they also play defense, and they don't play any of that.
Well, that's what I'm going to say. So I can look at that whole situation and say, well, you know,
They
that
won't get
that
to 30.
that'll be one of the best offensive lines we played.
Mhm.
But at the same time, we should be able to score points on that defense. We should be able to run the ball against that defense. We should be able to throw the football against that defense. I think the biggest jump that this team has made has been at the wide receiver position the last couple of games. I really
Yeah.
think that I don't think that's playing down the competition. I don't think that's a competition thing. I think the wide receivers are legitimately playing well above what I expected them to play at. I think the
They
wide
getting open.
receivers, well, they're getting open. If you watch them block down the field, they're creating big runs because they're blocking so hard down the field. They're
Yeah, I'm gonna say there was a
creating
video of Pittman pushing, having to do it all out of bounds. You know what I
right.
mean? Like, and we kept saying, when will we find a blocking team, right?
Yeah.
A wide receiver core who cared just as much about blocking as they did about catching the passes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we had the wrong type of receiver in here. Well, Mike, give Mike credit. He transitioned that room into a room that he liked.
Right.
McLean is a hell of a blocker. Pittman is a hell of a blocker. Shoot, I don't forgot big boy name. Hell of a blocker.
Johnny Wilson.
Johnny Wilson.
Right.
Johnny Wilson's a hell of a blocker, but he came in. You know what I mean? Like he entered Florida State as like what number one blocking wide receiver or whatever it is, and we were like,
Right.
well, all right, well, but we need him to catch passes.
Yeah.
He brought it. He brought his hands with him. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like that catch by Portier on the sideline or whatever it is, like to take Rodemaker through while scrambling. FSU receivers don't make that catch. I don't know if we had, first of all, that throw was ridiculous. But that catch of Portier, that it was clearly, I was like, that's out of bounds. There's no way the word that's out of, you know what I mean? There's no way he caught that. For them to weigh their hands, yeah, I was like, well, that'll get overturned on replay. Then you see it and you like, no.
Right.
Those guys have improved. You know what I mean? As a unit, they've improved.
Right.
They block, but they catch well. They've gotten better as the competition has gotten worse. They have gotten better. And I think that's just another testament to the fact that these guys really, really have bought into Mike. They bought into the system. They've bought into FSU.
Right.
And you're seeing it now. You know what I mean? You're seeing what happens when all that comes together. Speaking of, I guess you've always had an opinion on Mike. You know what I mean? Seeing what you've seen this season, him looking like I say, they're headed to getting 10 wins. Has your opinion changed on Mike?
No, because I think that I had what? No, I mean it haven't. Okay, so I think this is the whole problem with this, right? When we first hired Mike Norvell, I said I thought he would be better than what he was the first 2 years. Remember I said that? I was like, I think he'll have a high floor. I thought the first year we was gonna win 7, right? And then we won 3. Then we came back to the second year. I said, well, I think we can win 6. And we won 5, right? So he was below my expectations of what he was going to do when he first got here, right?
Right.
So we turned back around. And as the season is going to progress, I have we got 3 years of his work, his body of work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't. The biggest thing is going to be with Mike for me. How is he going to recruit? Right? Can you start? In the ACC, you can bring a top 20 recruiting class in the ACC. Hit on a couple transfers. You have a chance to win the ACC every year. Point blank, period. Right? You can like a top 20 class in the ACC will pretty much out recruit everybody but Clemson, maybe Miami. Clemson, Miami, probably it. Right? Like,
right.
Technically, right? You know, so you'll pretty much have better rosters than everybody in this conference other than 2 teams if you keep recruiting at the top 18, 19, 20 level, right? Which is what he's currently doing, right? Okay. Is winning this shitty conference what we aspire to do, or that just something we do on the way to doing the bigger things that we want to do, right? I think I always felt like they was going to give him maximum amount of support and that he would win more and that he would do more than the last coach. I always thought that. I never backed away from that, right? I think the problem is people associate me with the fire by Norvell spaces, which I get it, but that was to be funny. People still don't get that, but I think that's a lot of what this is. I think Mike Norvell has been a good coach, but I mean, I don't know. Like my like what I thought of him has never really changed because like he was hitting so far below what I initially thought he would be that I was just like, well, this is an unmitigated disaster. I didn't think it was ever going to be an unmitigated disaster. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. Like, so he definitely came in below expectation. We can't even argue it. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way to
It's
argue the other side
inarguable.
of it.
It's
Yeah,
inarguable.
you can't argue the other side. Like, I
And
know
I
a lot of
and I
people were
and
talking
I
about,
honestly believe. I'm gonna say this
the
part
hidden
too.
numbers. Yeah,
Can I say this right here?
yeah, go ahead.
I honestly believe this, and I'm not even saying this to be funny. I honestly believe this. If if people didn't take sides in this whole Willie Mike conversation or Jimbo Mike conversation or whatever coach conversation and just flatly looked at it and we like as a real FSU fan and what you know FSU to be and you said, hey, you hired a coach, you won 3 games first year, 5 games the second year. We wouldn't be happy with that. Just point blank period. Right? You
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be happy with that, period. Because you would say, well, this is the state of Florida. You should be able to flip a recruiting. You should be able to flip and recruit. And you had a whole year to get rid of as many players as you wanted because the NCAA allowed for it, right? They allowed for you to get rid of as many players you want and bring as many players you wanted in. Mike has brought in almost 90 plus players into this program. So this is his roster, right? This is his roster, right? But as far as that go, you hired a young coach, okay? You hired a guy that was in his 30s, I think, at the time you hired. I think he was like 38, 39 when you hired him, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's not crazy that he's been poor situationally in football games. It's not even crazy that off the field, no matter what the media says, has not been very good as far as recruiting, hiring, getting certain recruiters, keeping certain guys. Like he probably should have kept Telly Lockett on the staff, right? That would have helped in recruiting, right? It's okay. Things happen. You know what I'm saying? So you got to pivot from that stuff and decide what he is as a coach. As he sit here today, do I ever think he'll win a national championship? And me and you've talked about this. I think it's hard to win national championships. I think people take that for granted how hard that is. That's
Right.
tough to do. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
Saban and Bill Belichick has made people think winning championships is some easy foregone conclusion. That shit is not easy.
No, not at all.
You know what I'm saying?
No,
So, winning 2 national championships in a coaching career is a great thing. Winning one national championship is a great thing. Like, we can take as many shits on Jimbo as we want. The man won a national championship. That's impressive. That's hard to do. So,
definitely.
do I ever think he ever win a national championship? I kind of don't believe that. You know what I'm saying?
So here's where I'm gonna play the devil's advocate in this one, right? When we say he can't win the championship, I look at it and I think a lot of what comes with the national championship is luck. And the reason why I say that is you say he can recruit to a level of top 20, which can beat anybody in the ACC.
Right.
Well, if you win the ACC in most years
Right.
and you've beaten everybody in the ACC,
Right.
that's going to get you in the playoffs. The playoffs is expanding to 8.
Well, it's
You
gonna
get
be,
what I'm saying?
Well, okay.
So
I was
if
gonna
you
bring that
could
point
get
up too.
if you could get to 8,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
if you can get to 8,
Mm-hmm.
then you're in the playoff.
Right.
And at that point, I mean, depending on where you are, you may end up in a favorable matchup and it can be in a championship.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we would love to win the championship. But I think
Right.
if you tell Florida State fans that we went from where we were at the bottom basement to
Right.
now being, all right, we're in the ACC, we won the ACC with the recruiting that we've gotten. We're now in the playoffs. You might be able to get lucky and win one
Right.
if you've put yourself in that position. And I think where Mike is headed, Mike actually is putting himself in the position to maybe be in the conversation. I would think next year, if the right things happen in recruiting, we'll see what happens, and off the field and transfer portal, etc. I think if the right things happen, it's not out of the realm of possibility to say that Florida State should be in the conversation next year. And at that point, if we're in the conversation, it's not what we want, but we have to do. Well, we all had to readjust our expectations.
Right.
So, in my opinion, I do think, all right, we went from being completely out of it to last year being ranked to next year being in the conversation.
Yeah.
I'll look past. All right, you started five with 3 wins and 5 wins.
Right.
I'll look past it because you're now in the championship conversation. I'll say he learned on the job. He took the longest route possible.
Right.
It wasn't a quick climb.
Right.
It wasn't like, you know what I mean, like at the rock climbing place.
Right.
It was a slow one. It was Everest. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like we took our time climbing. But at the end of the day, I say, all right, the climb worked. It
Right.
wasn't the path I would have took.
Right.
Probably wasn't the path that any of the Florida State fans would have took. But I'm gonna take it because
Right.
we went from being irrelevant to now being a part of the conversation.
And I think that when you talk about the span of the playoffs, right? So now you get into a conversation where if you're at Florida State and you got an 18 playoff, a 12 team playoff,
Mm-hmm.
and you in this conference, you should never miss the playoffs. You should be in the playoffs every year.
That's 1,000% facts.
You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm one of the people that I think the ACC is a little bit better than what people give it credit for, but
It's still bad.
it's still bad. You know what I'm saying? So I think that I think he's done a good job this year. I think he's done a good job learning on a job. I think he's done a good job adjusting and selling a vision to the fan base and to the players and to the coaches. I think he's done a good job with that stuff, right? I think past coaches did a terrible job at that stuff, right?
Look at, and I don't know if I can give him credit for it, but look at what he's even done with the video team. You know what I mean? Like those videos after the wins, man, are
All
movie
inspiring.
trailers.
All inspiring.
You know what I
All
mean?
inspiring.
They movie trailers, but we haven't had that in the past. You know what I mean? Just those little things. I remember I used to like, man, what is LSU doing? Who's doing these videos over there at LSU? Why they look so, you know what I mean, inspiring? Like I want to go play for LSU. And now in another season, it's improved. I don't know who's in charge of that, but somebody looked around and said, why are we not being excellent in this? And those things do affect recruiting, and they do affect your football team.
Right.
So I think it's difficult to look at anything that Mike has done this year and say, man, like I'm gonna give it a solid B plus. You know what I mean? I think without that 3-game left, if they'd won one of those 3, I could probably gave it an A. But I think a solid B plus, man, and that's coming from 2 F minuses. You know what I mean? So yeah. You know that's a huge jump.
Yeah, I think he's done a good job. I think this year he's done a good job. I do still worry about the Florida's program, and we could talk about this part, but this portal versus recruits conversation that we can start having now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people keep pointing out these coaches that surpass Mike quicker. Keep saying, well, are they still good now? Right? They keep saying, like, they keep bringing up Mel Tucker. They keep bringing up who else was another guy they brought up? Well, the only one I can think of right now is Mel Tucker. But they brought up Mel Tucker saying, oh, well, look at him now. He's fell back, right? And I'm like, well, I think that's the risk of taking 18 Porter guys and 20 Porter guys in a recruiting class, right? It stalls development a little bit, right? And what happens is that next year when those Porter guys leave, or better yet, when 3 or 4 of those Porter guys leave and you bring those other guys back, and then some of those freshmen are now trying to ascend, now you got messed up chemistry in your team a little bit, right? So now you got to work through some chemistry issues, and that's why you see these fallbacks at Baylor, little fallback at Michigan State, which I still think Michigan State is on pace to do what Michigan State's supposed to do in that conference, right? I think if you're
Michigan State overachieved last year. They actually are where they should be at regularly.
Like to me, if you Michigan State get me in the bowl every year, and every 3 years
and
can
compete
you win
with
the
Michigan,
conference? Can you beat Michigan and beat Ohio State every 2 to 3 years? You know, that's about where they're supposed to be.
He's regressed back to the mean where he should be at.
Right. So if you telling me my floor with Mel Tucker is going to be 7 wins, and then after that I'm going to see another 10, 11 win season, Mel Tucker's doing his damn job. Right, he's worth $10 million to them. That's 100%.
That's exactly what they want.
Right.
Yep.
They're fine.
He is doing exactly what he was hired to do.
Same thing with Baylor, the coach at Baylor. Okay, they're a little bad this year, but guess what? He did what he had to do last year. Got him where he wanted to get, where they want to get at. For Baylor, every 2 to 3 years, they can do that every 2 to 3 years. Be better than Texas. Be better than Oklahoma. Every 3 to 4 years, they're good with that, right?
Okay.
I think the difference is with Florida State fans and what we have to realize. this program is a program that can compete and win national championships. That's a big difference. It's a reason why people criticize Mark Richt at Georgia. Mark Richt was not a bad coach at Georgia. He was a good coach at Georgia.
Yep,
But
just
they
can
kept
never get over the
saying,
hump.
shouldn't this program compete for national championships though?
They were always a game away.
Yeah, always a game or two away, right?
Hmm.
So, people always be like, well, that's why it was so big when they got Kirby, because they were saying we believe we should be able to compete for national championships at Georgia. We should not ever have a season where we win 7 games or have a
And they were
season.
100% correct.
Right. They believe they were supposed to compete for national championships. So you have to what is the expectations for your program? And that's a big thing. Now, if you believe Mike's a great coach, right? And he come in here and you say, well, he won 8 games this year. Hey, he won 7 games this year. Look how the guys fight. If that is the mentality that the fan base has, I'm fine with that, right? Like, okay, I know better than that. I think this program can win that championship. But I also know to win that championships, you do have to recruit differently. You do have to raise your floor to a level that you can beat the Georgias, the Bamas, the LSUs, that you can beat those teams, right? So I think you have to wonder what type of program are you and what do you aspire to, right? We should never aspire to what South Carolina is going to aspire to. South Carolina want to win. They want to be the third best team in the East. That's who they are. That's who they want to be.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They want to beat Kentucky every other year, beat Tennessee and Florida, play tough games with Georgia, be the third best team. So should you compare yourself to what South Carolina's doing? Probably not, because you should be better than South Carolina. And you shouldn't be recruiting with them, right? You shouldn't be at 19. They shouldn't be at 17.
So,
See what I'm saying?
yeah, no, you're right.
So I think this is all based on perception. What is the perception of your program and what do you aspire to be at your program? And when we talk about Mike taking Porter kids, recruiting or importing, people keep saying, well, it's okay because you're getting more proven. And I was one of those people last year after he failed the recruiting class when he lost Trevor Hunter and a lot of those guys at the end. I told you and I told Wig, and Wig disagreed with me. I said, man, go get Porter kids, man. You don't have time to go get 6 more high school kids to throw on this roster that's not going to be good enough to help you in the next 2 years. Mm-hmm. You need to get people that can contribute right now. Fine. You went and got that. Now you got what? You're basing on track to have a 9-win, 10-win team, right?
Mm-hmm.
This recruiting class, this one and the next one, you need to be getting difference makers in key positions that can propel, because the thing about bringing in a recruiting class, those guys are going to stick together. Those guys are going to fight a little harder for one another, right? They're not individualized, right? They're going to do the extra stuff because they came in together, right? They're not going to be so quick to want to just run off the team, in my opinion. So I do think he needs to recruit better at the high school ranks. You need to be able to bring in a class of 20 really good recruits. If you want to go porting 5 kids here, 5 kids there, I'm fine with that. But 20 of those recruits need to be high school, and they need to be legit guys that can help you in 2 years. My opinion.
So I think there's a way you can do both. I think Mike is smart enough at understanding.
I gave you a path to do both.
Huh?
I gave you the path to do both. You need to do 80% high school, and you need to do
okay. That's what you okay.
20%.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm saying. And that's exactly what I'm saying. I think you gotta absolutely recruit your high school. You gotta recruit high school kids, and I'm talking difference maker high school kids who are around the program. But I don't want Mike to abandon what he's done in the portal, right? Because other than actually, I can't even figure out like that. Basically, look at our players.
Right.
All the key players are from the portal. Now you add in Peyton and you say, okay, well, Peyton started to emerge. And that's what should happen.
Right.
You should be able to plug in this defensive end until one of your young guys emerge and take over. So now next year, realistically, you shouldn't need another D. You don't need 2 DNs. You might need 1. You know what I mean? And he should be a backup. And same thing for linebacker group, et cetera, right? So I agree with you. You got to do it 80-20. You have to be able to get but you have to. The problem is, I don't know if Mike is going to be able to meet the 80-20 threshold. And the reason why I say that is, if you are recruiting at the 18 to 20 range, which is, where he's been at, then you can't plug and play. You're gonna
Right.
have to build in a whole lot more guys who
Right.
you're paying for starters. You know what I mean? And
Right.
so what as opposed to me looking and saying that's not a problem, I mean that's a problem. I think Mike has a very high hit rate in the portal that
Mm-hmm.
I don't know any other coaches that have. No coaches have come back with Jermaine Johnson followed by Jared Verse.
Right.
That's a stat. You know what I mean? And so if I'm a DN and I play at South Carolina or at Liberty or wherever it is, you know what I mean, Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not getting the the clout that I think I might need, or I feel like I should be playing at a higher level. I've developed now. I've hit a growth spurt. Whatever it is, I believe Mike can go out and find the next DN that can come out here and be an NFL player. I've seen him do it twice. Wide receivers, same thing.
Right.
He's been you add Winston Wright to this group next year, who's already said he coming back. Well, now you're saying, well, that's adding to an already deep group.
Right.
I just think Mike has shown the ability to find those key areas he's hitting at, and he's hitting at a very high rate. So even if he is only getting 60%, he has shown the ability to cover up that other 40% that he may lack in recruiting with recruiting the portal. I don't know if it leans more to his skill set or his personality type, why he can do it that way,
right,
as opposed to recruiting it. And honestly, it won't matter, because if he can continue to hit at that rate, doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Like, in other words, if you create a system, hey, we know we got 60% of these kids coming from the portal. 40% come from the portal, 60% coming from recruiting.
Right.
Then I think you coming in, hey, every season you're gonna have to blend. These are the challenges that's gonna be faced. These are some of the hurdles. We've built our program to handle this way.
Right.
I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility that Mike has figured it out. Hey, I know buy-in is normally difficult with these portal guys, but I know what the portal guys want, so I'm gonna lean into that a little bit. I know these young guys gonna have to develop, so I'm gonna push more towards that. And this is how I do my recruiting. So the kids who come here are coming to develop, unless we somehow look up and get a blue chip. And the ones who not, y'all coming in to be developing. I know our transfer portal guys are coming in to start.
Right.
It's possible Mike has figured out a different way of doing it.
But we're talking about. I'm not talking about him winning the ACC. I think he can. But
I think he can win a championship doing it that way.
I think he can win the ACC doing it this way. I really do believe that. Right. But I think when you start talking about, can we win national championships? Can we legitimately compete? Right. The best portal guys are for the most part, are gonna go to the Bamas and the Georgias and the Ohio States when they want them. Right. The USCs when they want them. The Oklahomas when they want them. Right. Like, you're doing a good job, and I'm not knocking what he's doing, because I said after that failed recruiting class, I'm like, hey, he got to go dumpster diving. All right, we got to go dumpster diving. We got to get some portal guys in here, because he hasn't recruited good enough to just say, let me roll the guys that I recruited. He haven't done that. So we got to get, but we get into this conversation of what makes a coach a national championship coach, what makes a coach a great coach, all this other stuff, right? And I think for the most part, we do got to change the way we look at college football, because it is becoming free agency, and that does mean you're going to have high roster turnover every year, right? You're going to have guys going to the pros and guys transferring.
So navigate that,
right.
Yeah.
So
and I think he's figured out a way to navigate it.
Okay, but we got to see that get navigated until Final Four appearances. We got to see that get navigated into winning the ACC championships, right?
1,000%.
We got to see that. So, I don't think it's crazy that you recruit A.Z. Thomas, Sam McCall, and tell them, I got plenty of playing time for DBs. And then halfway through the season, you're hearing about guys wanting to transfer out from the defensive back room because you're playing a porter guy here, a porter guy there.
I can answer that. I think... no. I mean, if we want to have that conversation, we can have it.
Well, my point is, I don't think it's a coincidence with that, right? So I'm okay with you playing the best player. I'm fine with that. I'm saying
play better. Like but
how you sell it, how you sell things, how you package things matter. That matters.
Yeah, I'm a Sam. I'm playing the best player who comes in here. If you're the best player, I promise to goodness, I don't care whether he came from the portal, from under the earth, from China. I don't care where he came from. The
Hmm.
best football players will play on this team because we want to win football games.
Right.
So, in my opinion, if I'm Sam McCall, I want to play. I'm gonna play better. I
Right.
don't think the DB coach, Adam Fuller, or anybody is looking at Sam McCall and saying, "Sam, I know you're the best player out here, but these Porter guys, we promised would play right away. So you're gonna have to just take this L."
It's the same.
No,
Hey, Brandon, this is the same staff that rolled out DJ Lund over the Loach the first year they got here. The same as that. They rolled out Tate Rodemaker before they rolled out Jordan Travis. They also rolled out a one-legged quarterback before they rolled out Jordan Travis also, bro. Like, I mean, this idea that
I
coaches
cannot
play the
argue those
best,
2 points.
this idea that coaches play the best players just isn't true, bro. They have agendas, all right? It's just like any job. People have agendas.
Sometimes, yeah, no,
Yeah,
you play
yeah.
who you like.
Okay.
I like this dude, bro.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right. Okay.
no,
We live
he
in the
be like
real
that.
world. Okay. This
Yeah,
ain't
yeah,
from the Titans. We live in the real world. Okay. Best players will always play. It's
yeah.
agendas.
Nobody's running the quarterback bootleg for a championship.
Yeah, okay. But anyway, but he do need to do better at recruiting. We got to do better at recruiting. Uh, yeah, got to do better at recruiting. I see somebody
Yeah,
putting
and
in
I
the
think he
two
might be able to
questions.
do both.
We are
And I
forgetting
think he
about
might be
NIL.
able to manage doing both.
Yeah, we got to do better. We forget about NIL more. So we got to decide which one it is, right? Is NIL the reason why we're not recruiting well? Is it the wins and losses the reason why we're not recruiting well? Is it the coaches that the reason that we're not recruiting well? I don't care which
All of
one it
the
is.
above.
I don't care which one it is, but I want us to pick one. I want us to stick to that narrative.
No, now that's the. Oh, I know that's where you was going with that. Nah, that
Yeah.
ain't.
No, because every time you bring up one, they bring up this other thing. And I'm like, which one is it? Is it the coaches? Is it the wins and losses? Is it NIL?
Yep. So wanted to say no one gave a chance to either Johnny Wilson or Benson. Mike was the one that took a chance on him, and they developed. He knows how to find diamond in the rough. I do think there's a skill in that. You know what I mean? Like I do. I don't know. Again, I think it's risky business. I think it's difficult when you
You
get into
lower,
that.
but the thing about it is you lower your floor by taking guys in the portal.
Not if you develop the other guys at the proper rate. That's what I'm saying. If you can take these lovable 3 stars or these hungry, fight hard 3 stars, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're able to make those guys into top players over a 2-year time frame, then you're doing essentially what Wake Forest does once every. And I hate to compare ourselves to Wake Forest. You're
Sure.
doing what Wake
Why
Forest is
not?
doing every 5 years, though. But Wake don't have the ability to also get the portal kids that we have. But
Mm-hmm.
you're essentially what you're developing is you're developing it almost at the Wake Forest or some of the bottom tier ACC program speed
Mm-hmm.
with just a little bit better talent. So now every 3-4 years you'll end up with a senior team of a lot of whatever it is of guys who you may not have to go to the portal that many times because they've developed over the last 2 to 3 years. Meanwhile, in between that time, you've been adding portal players. I'm not saying it's the right way to do it by any stretch.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is possible that you can win some games doing it that way,
Right.
and a championship may be one of them. Not the definitely ideal way we do it. I would like a coach who would be able to recruit. Let me be very clear
But
on that.
I felt this season was really important because FSU needed to stabilize itself and not fall off the map. Right. I didn't care. I'm not too much concerned about the coaching staff, the head coach, or is Mike the guy that's worship at Mike's altar. I don't too much care about that stuff. I care more about can FSU be stabilized where this job is still considered a top 10 job, right? And I think with what's going on with the season that FSU's having, I think it has stabilized itself where it's still considered a top 10 job. And that's the most important thing
Mm-hmm.
because if you have 3 failed head coaches in a span of whatever small window that is, that gets scary, right? It gets pretty scary pretty fast. So I'm glad he's able to have the season that he's having. And I think it's okay to acknowledge the good things that Mike's done. I think he's done a lot of good things, to be honest with you. So, you know, I think he can will be able to attract better assistants. But like I've talked to somebody about this, they don't personally think these assistants are going anywhere. So, you
I
know,
I
so
think it's going to be very difficult to tell any assistant coach he got to go.
right. So
You know what I mean? I just as much as I agree they need that, I think as opposed to telling somebody they got to go, I think they need to pony up and bring in more guys.
yeah.
Add more analysts, add more, you know what I mean, whatever you got to call them positions,
Mm-hmm.
but add those guys because, in my opinion, I you can't look at any unit and say they got to go.
Right.
Unless Adam Fuller and the DBs just have a horrible game against Florida, you know what I mean? They go out there and get railroaded or something like that. Then maybe you could look and the last taste in your mouth was Adam Fuller having a real bad game, and you might be
Personally,
able to look at it. But in my opinion, what unit has can you look at legit and say, all right, coach, I know you've done well, but you got to go.
Personally, I would have more faith in Mike if after the season he did get rid of 2 coaches and add 2 better.
I would agree
personally,
with that. I'd have more respect for him as well.
I would feel better. But
do you believe Mike doing it?
But
after the last 2 seasons, they ain't get rid of nobody. You think they getting rid of somebody after this season?
Yeah, I just what I'm saying. I don't.
Mike gonna put his nuts on the table. Mike ain't gonna let.
Yeah,
Mike gonna be like, fire somebody.
And I do hear
how many 10-win seasons y'all got rolling up around here.
And I do hear there's some internal. I do hear there's some internal strife about that conversation in general. So we're gonna see how that play out. I'm not gonna get into that because I don't, like I always try to tell people, I'm not an insider, and even if I do know something that's inside, I don't like putting that shit out because personally, I don't give.
It become your fault.
Yeah,
they definitely gonna kill the messenger.
I'm the guy hating, but
you don't want to say that Mike Norvell and Odell Hagens got into a fight after the Florida game.
I never said that. He's joking, people. That's a joke.
Yeah.
That's
please don't chop that. Yeah, we're gonna chop the clip up, and they'll be like, "Man, what?" Listen to the podcast said that Mike Norvell and Odell Hagens got into that. No, nobody said that.
Charlotte just hired a coach, so you don't have to worry about that.
He wasn't never going nowhere. He wasn't going no way. Okay. I think Atkins is smart enough to realize that he hotter than fish grease. He could do way better than Charlotte.
So let me go here. We got this question. Let's be real. FSU, high school recruiting these days, the lower rate Texas A&M, Miami. I don't think that's true because I think the problem with the whole problem with Texas A&M, people
hate Jimbo. The answer is Jimbo, dog. It's been Jimbo.
Can I say this? People hate Jimbo. They can't wait to pounce. Like this man brought in a top 1 class ever. True freshmen are not normally great in their first year. It takes them 6-7 games. So they got hit by a shitload of injuries.
They did.
They got hit by a shitload of injuries. They're playing a bunch of young guys, and they're playing in the toughest conference in college football. You really thought they were going?
And that Jimbo system is antiquated.
Okay, I'm fine with having that conversation. Yeah, that's cool. Jimbo system is antiquated, but the fact that people are trying to say, like, if Mike Norvell had 12 injuries or 14 injuries, you know how many excuses y'all come up with when we get 2 injuries on one segment of a football team? Imagine 12 or 14 of them. I mean, he's on his 3rd string quarterback. I'm not saying he's good. I'm just saying people couldn't wait to pounce on Jimbo Fisher. Like, and I get it. He's an unlikable guy. You know what I'm saying?
Sam is a Jimbo sexual, y'all.
No, I'm not.
Listen, I love Jimbo. I really do, and I respect the fact he's giving us the championship.
No, my thing be, I hate narratives. That's my whole thing. You know that about me. I'm fine with people criticizing people, but I be like,
why got to be all this?
I'd be like, well, where is this coming from? Like, y'all know the man got 25 injuries over there. He on the 3rd string quarterback. Like, what is he supposed? So he supposed to go beat Bama with them?
Yes. Line that shit up.
And then you got Miami, and believe me, that offense is a fucking train wreck over there. It is a train wreck.
It didn't matter who was playing quarterback.
Right, but guess what? They got a shitload of injuries over there too. So it looks it's if you get concentrated injuries in your segment groups, and you're already a young football team, you're gonna be bad.
State. I mean, this has been us the last few years.
We've done it.
We've had key injuries at the worst possible times with the worst. I mean, it happens. Listen, there's a lot of I don't know why the group chat is arguing. Why the chat is arguing? Tate Rodemaker or Duffy. Let me tell you something. If either one of them got to play next year, Hey boy, y'all better be arguing Portal.
Yeah,
You don't want neither one of them to have to start next year.
yeah,
My hope is Jordan Travis looks around and says I can win a championship next year and comes back, and that's
right,
what we all better be praying for on
right,
Christmas on that Santa list. That's what we all need to root for.
right, right, right. I do,
You
I
talking
do,
about
I do
AJ Duffy
agree.
or Tate Rodemaker? You are not winning 10 games next year with Tate Rodemaker. Like Tate Rodemaker showing you who he is.
Yeah, I mean,
He ain't getting that much better in this offseason.
I do get people don't, like I said, people don't
That's
like Jimbo. I get that. Like, I'm not saying he's doing a great job at Texas A&M. I'm not saying that. You're right. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I understand why they're losing. Like, I understand it. Like, I'm.
He has a legit excuse as to why we're losing. Yes.
Right. I know
100%.
why he's losing. Now, should you care? That's a whole
as a Florida State fan, hell no.
Well, yeah, as a Florida State fan, or as somebody that's paying him $12 million a fucking year, should you care? Maybe not. You're taking the money to win games. Win games. So I always come back with this opinion. However you feel about it, if your program is built to win that championship, and you're building a program to win that championships, you shouldn't be missing bowl games. All right, missing bowl games is bad for business. It's why
that's what I'm saying. He got enough recruits out there. Right, he's recruiting at a level high enough to where he shouldn't be losing
right.
bowls.
It's why I couldn't really defend the firing of Willie when they fired him, because I was like, well, you did miss a bowl game at Florida State, even though you had concentrated injuries at offensive line and concentrated injuries at linebacker and defensive back, and you already wasn't deep at those positions. But it is Florida State. You should have found a way to win 6 games in the ACC and make a bowl game. I understood it. I understood it, right? It's why I was so critical of Mike Norvell after last year. Hey, man, you've been here 2 years. There's no fucking reason why you shouldn't make a bowl game. Beat Jackson State. Nobody's asking you to do a whole lot. So I get it. You know what I'm saying? I do think Jimbo Fisher is underachieving. I do think he deserves a shitload of criticism. But I also understand why they're losing. I think all that shit is true to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he is underachieving. So it's just, but I think for FSU fans, it's fun to dance on his grave. You know what I'm saying?
And that's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna take these few little chuckles and I'm gonna get them off. You know, at the fact that we're looking good after my man
Sam,
told us he was
our difference makers is from the transfer portal. Yeah, now I agree with that. They are, but I think that's part of the problem. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can't keep bringing in 10 transfers and they become the staple of your football team. You have to develop your guys that you got at high school ranks. That's a part of it. You have to do that. You know what I'm saying?
What was the question? How do we contain them? Right?
I think that was about.
Oh, you talking about from AR?
You got to keep him in the pocket.
I was just gonna say,
you cannot let him escape the pocket. If you keep him in the pocket,
Jared Verse is gonna have to play what's called a non-stat game. You're not gonna get a lot of stats. You know what I mean? You're not gonna get a lot of sacks. Play that QB contain, keep those rushing lanes, and then be smart about how you rush.
Yeah,
if they be smart about how they rush, they win.
Yeah, if they went out, including the bowl game, grab a top 15 spot, and you have to say he's our guy. The evaluation development is there. If they win 9-10 games, then next year should easily be a top 10 class.
You're saying a lot of shoulds. Yeah, these are all shoulds, right? The problem is right now we got, we're looking like we're gonna win 10 and we're not gonna grab a top 15 spot.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I think that's where we look and say he is underachieving for how well Florida State is playing.
Right.
The fact that Miami keeps getting guys, Florida keeps getting guys while not looking nearly as good as Florida State, not ranked as high as Florida State, not get at positions that Mike Norvell coaches well. If I'm a running back, there's no reason in the world that a 5-star running back shouldn't be looking at Florida State and easily commit to us.
Right.
When you look at Mike Norvell and what he's done with the 3 running backs this year, with what he has already put in the NFL at Memphis, when you look at how he schemes for these running backs, I'm saying, and you got a good old line with Alex Atkins, I'm saying, dog, I'm a running back. There's no reason why Mike shouldn't have 3 of them already in the stable coming in for next year. You know what I mean? So that when Benson is done, I'm able to drop in 3 5-stars.
Yeah.
Well, now I don't need another Porter running back because I got 3 blue chip guys who are ready, who are fresh, who's able to jump right in and take over. That's where when you look and you say, all right, great. I'm glad he's doing good in the portal. but what is happening in the recruiting where you are right now got
Yeah.
Benson finna go over 1,000 yards. Benson was not our starting running back
Right.
to start the season. You know what I mean? Like Benson ran for 163.
Dude,
You
he's
know what I
really
mean?
good.
Like I'm saying, but those things should lead to better recruiting, especially at certain positions. I would think you should have a 5-star running back who's ready to jump in here, and multiple of them who's ready to jump in here based on the things and what you've shown on
Well,
the field. If
Cam
I'm a
Davis,
receiver,
Cam Davis is a 5-star. If he can get him out of Georgia and close him down,
that's what I mean. Close the deal.
yeah,
That's all I'm saying. You should close the deal on these guys. Wide receivers, again, look at the development of the wide receiver group. DBs, look at the development. I'm saying around the board, you have improved. You have shown the proof of concept that we were told the recruits needed to see.
right.
We had not shown proof of concept, so therefore the recruits were not able to look at Mike Norvell with the true buy-in. Understood? Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now we've gotten multiple proof of concepts. You went out there and beat LSU on national television, huge game. You looked impressive doing it.
Right.
You went out there, you rolled out 5 straight. You just beat a rival. Why you beat Miami and the dude flips to Florida as opposed to flipping to Florida State? You know what I mean? Why is Florida State not in the conversation with you know what I mean? Like, it's just a lot of questions that when you look at the recruiting side of things, I'm saying, I don't know if this is sustainable for Mike. Can he? It might be. He might hit at that high of a rate in the portal to where none of this ever makes a difference whatsoever. But I also know that may not be the best long-term plan.
Right. Yeah. That's more dumpster diving with the guy from Penn State. Have y'all seen them backs at Penn State? Penn State got like 3 5-star backs that they run often. I mean, that kid wasn't gonna play at Penn State. I'm just not saying he's a bad player. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm just saying, like, Singleton, I think, is a nice running back. I do think Singleton's nice. But they gotta, I think, I think a lot of these answers to these questions are going to get answered in the off season. I don't think they're going to get answered as we sit here today. And I think that I want to see them trust. I want to see them recruit better than high school ranks. And I would like to see some changes on defense. I mean, on the staff. I don't think they're going to happen. That's what I believe.
Again, I'm saying if he wasn't willing to change
But
after 5-3-win season, I don't think there's going to be any reason.
I do think he's done a good job, though. I do think he's done a good job. I think this year he's done a good job coaching this football team. This football team, he's done a good job with. I really do believe that. So, I just think where is everybody's expectations at? Where do they sit at? People got to decide it for themselves. People screaming, hey, people in my DMs telling me Mike's greatest thing since sliced bread after a 3-win season. And he's the greatest thing since sliced bread since after a 5-win season, So people are entrenched in whatever camp they're entrenched in.
Hey, yeah, I was gonna say he's just saying after the LSU game we did learn Hakeem, right? And I'm saying that should happen at a higher rate. That's all I'm asking. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it hasn't been done. I'm saying that should happen at a much higher rate.
I'm just
considering at Florida State, correct?
At Florida State, you should recruit within the top 10.
Like easily.
This is not arguable. It's inarguable.
Yeah.
You should recruit in the top 10. It's not crazy. That's not asking a lot. It's asking, like, if we say, hey, he need to have a top 5 recruiting class, I think that's asking a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't ask you in a given year to out recruit Bama, Georgia, Ohio State, USC, Texas, Texas A&M currently. I can't Florida. You know what I'm saying? I can't in good conscience say bring a top 5 recruiting class in here every year.
Right.
That's probably not going to happen. Within the top 10, I don't think that's crazy. I don't think that's crazy at Florida State to recruit in the top 10, personally. Now, some of y'all might feel differently.
No, he said as well. He said right now they should have a top 15 class. And agreed. Based on just the record that they have right now, they should have a top 15 class.
Right. But dang, dude, we're finna really hit 100 viewers on the show today. That's what's up.
Make sure y'all hit the subscribe and the like button, man. If y'all have not, man. If you haven't subscribed yet, man, hit the subscribe button.
It would be nice to have a Harold Perkins. That would be nice.
Real
That dude's an animal. Uh,
again, them freaks, man. Those are freaks, man. That
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
those come around once every now and then, man.
Every now and then, that dude is different, man. Oh man, make sure y'all hit the like button. I know we got 99 in here. We should have 99 likes on the screen, man. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Please
Yeah,
do,
I agree.
please
I'm
do.
very interested in seeing how this class classes out, man. How this class closes out, man. Like if we're able to close this class out with, I think I said 10 to 12, which is why I anticipated if we got a 10-win season. I think if we can close out 10 to 12, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah, right, absolutely. And I think
Yeah, I'll take it.
overall, you know, 12 top 12 class, top 15. I think I always said they were gonna finish somewhere around 15. I think I said 15 and 19. I think I said this year.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see them getting over that 15 and 19, over 15. Did not see that happening, and that's about where they're gonna finish at. So
I hope not. I hope they find some. I'm just saying, like I really hope that they were able to find some. They able to find some recruits. They able to flip some guys. Mike got a plan when it comes to recruiting because
we're
again,
always
I think another 15 and 19 class means that you then have to hit again in the transfer portal at a high clip,
mhm,
and I don't know how many times you can ask them to go to that well and pull back diamonds. You know what I mean?
right.
Like we asking a lot. I mean, he's done it. He's done it these past couple of years, but
All right.
mm,
Yeah, it gets difficult, man. But with that being said, it's time for me to get off of this podcast.
for real, I'm finna go cook something.
But man, thank y'all, man, for coming through. Y'all always here. Y'all are always here waiting on the pod, and I actually really do appreciate you guys. Reminding me that it's time to drop an episode. That's I appreciate that.
Strongfully reminded. Hey, we
Strongly
gotta drop
reminded
up.
it's time to
Yeah,
drop an episode. So I
yeah,
appreciate
yeah.
that, man. It's crazy. I've been wanting to do more episodes, man, but life been life in this year. So the last 2 years, actually.
It really has. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been a again for a 2-man pod. I think between me and you both, we don't have some moments, man, for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I need
man. Again, it's
I need
just
to find a
us.
I need to find a network where I can just record and just drop it
Right,
from.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Need to add to the
Yeah,
show.
we
Anybody want
open. We just
anybody want to be
record
part of the
and send it out.
podcast?
Yeah,
I want to
yeah. We just record and hit, and when it's over with, that's it.
look
Man,
at
say
this.
don't
Look at
take too
Island
long
Boy.
next time.
See what I'm talking about? You
Man,
know
say
what?
his grandfather at hospice and all sorts of stuff. Don't take too long next time. You're like, all right, we just messing with your island boy. Man, we just messing with you. But yeah, man, y'all don't care. Y'all ain't care. Y'all was just like, hey man, I forgot who sent us that one message. They were like, yo, so y'all ain't gonna say nothing. I was like, God, no, I mean, nah,
I,
but no, we appreciate y'all,
I
man.
mean, it's
We,
like
we do.
25 other FSU podcasts.
I was gonna say, and all of them, I guarantee you, are not talking about how this recruit is a problem. Like, so I haven't heard any of them, but I can guarantee you, it's not that I don't like them, because again, we started out a little contentious, but now a lot of the podcasts are showing a lot of support and love to us, man. So, we rock with y'all, but they ain't gonna talk about the recruiting. I can guarantee you. Well, maybe one or two.
I am going
I
to
don't
check.
know who this Drew Novak is, but y'all keep hollering about him.
I am going to
He
check him
better
out.
be. Yeah, I'm
I
gonna
am going
say
to
we
check him out.
definitely gotta check him out because y'all, yeah, we gonna see. Sam definitely been laid up drinking pumpkin spice.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna.
that's Sam's mo. Listen, I'm gonna share all my stuff real quick before we get out of here. Y'all don't understand. Sam will press a button on the tweet and then will just mute it, right, and go about his day. And y'all will just be arguing amongst yourselves, and Sam won't feel it. Like he won't care at all. Sam yesterday was like, "Hey, should I send this tweet out?" And we was like, "Yep, you should definitely send it out." Just something to stir up the timeline. And Sam didn't send it, y'all. And I was like, "Man, y'all don't corporate Sam, man. Sam wouldn't even ask that question a couple years ago, man. Sam would have just fired that tweet out and then called me later, like, I got the boys riled up." The fact that Sam had to think about it, he was like, "Nah, man, I ain't gonna do it today. I'm
Yeah.
gonna chill." See, y'all don't make Sam corporate, man. And I just want to point that out, man.
I held off on that. I was like, I really got one in the chamber on this
He
one.
got what? Yeah, yeah, but Listen, there'll be other days.
Yeah, yeah,
There'll be
yeah,
other days.
yeah, definitely, man. But
Yeah, there'll be other days.
I appreciate you guys, man. Thank y'all for liking the pod. Thank y'all for subscribing to the pod. Thank y'all for being patient with the pod. And
Definitely, man.
we'll be back. I don't know when. I'm gonna definitely try to get y'all something out though.
I can tell you we're not doing an instant reaction to the Raging Cajuns. So if y'all looking for that, it won't happen. Let me be clear. We'll definitely do
You
I
know
was gonna
what?
say we'll definitely do a Florida pod, but I'm
I'm gonna
splitting the
try to
baby
get
that
a
week
guest. I'm gonna try to get a guest this week for the Raging Cajun. Not for the Raging Cajun game, but I'm sorry, like a
for
guest
Florida.
just to talk this week. Well, not this. Well, probably Sunday, but
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
trying to get a guest. I'm trying to get a guest.
All right.
All right.
Listen, man. If I don't holler at y'all, go nose on that Florida game. If I'm not here to react to it, you better believe I'm gonna get my words off. But listen, man, hit that subscribe button if you haven't. Rate 5 stars, Apple, Spotify, all that good stuff, man. We out of here.
Yo.